Hello guys, so I saw this new Philips LED bulb for sale maybe last week, so I decided to buy a pair to test them. These are the Philips Ultinon Essential LED bulbs. They work with 12 volt, 24 volt system in the same bulb. And there isn't a lot of information on the box and such, but we will see that it should have a nicer, whiter shine, which is better on nighttime driving, but on wet roads that is a downside because the whiter 6000 Kelvin will tend to disappear or not be like reflected the same way back on a dark wet road. But otherwise on snow roads and in complete darkness you get better night vision with a Kelvin at around 5 to 6000 Kelvin. And they say it should be stronger, and from looking at this it should remain somewhat of the original beam pattern as well. Lifetime up to 1500 hours, that is like 5 times longer than a regular halogen bulb. This costed me $70, so compared to the best halogen bulbs Philips makes, that is maybe 2.5 times more expensive. 12 to 24 volts, and these bulbs are made to be running at 20 volts watts. So if you are mounting them in a regular car, you need some extra canvas resistors, because that will probably give the car a false sense and you will have warnings in your dashboard. And if you have like a warning system, if you upgrade to LEDs that is blinking, these bulbs will blink. So you will also maybe need a resistor to remove that problem. And these are not for use on public roads, so they are not really road legal, even though they are sold as bulbs used on normal roads. Looks like a Tesla on the front here. They don't have halogen bulbs, but they have LED bulbs, but yeah. And here we have the bulb itself. It's a very small bulb, so it will fit in most headlamps. But in some occasion, if you don't have like the standard buckling thing you buckle up, you will maybe need to find the correct adapter for your headlamp to secure this, or modify the one you have. Regular H7 connector, flat cable going into aluminium construction. Not too big of a heatsink, but it is actively cooled with this little fan on the back side. And this is a little bit adjustable on top here as well. You can turn this around, and you also turn it around to take that off if you need to put your adapter in the middle. Looking at the board, you see the LEDs are spaced very closely together, which is good, because then you mimic the design of a regular halogen bulb. You don't want to have these LEDs too far away from each other, otherwise you won't have a good beam pattern. The LED is also very small. It's probably almost as big as the halogen coil, which puts the light at the right place in the reflector, and you don't need as like a super high brightness from the LEDs to perform better. It's like running a hose with water. If you having a big hose with a weak or the same liter per hour, you will have like a less beam distance or flow with water. Yeah, I think you maybe get my point. But and you get these like things on the sides here that hold this single-sided copper board. There isn't really much more to it. Very simple bulb. I would think it's not a huge upgrade, but it should perform better than a regular halogen bulb. So it's part of a series, as we see, H1, H3, even though H3 LEDs are in the horizontal plane, so I can't see how the beam pattern would be perfect on that one. So So in this test here we have a DC power supply, which I will set to 13.8 volts, which cars are often running at while in use. But these bulbs can take 12 to 24 volts, so as long as I would have set the voltage within that range, I would see the same result here. But here I want to test the cooling of the bulb itself. LEDs, they don't like radiate the heat like a normal halogen bulb, so the heat stays in the construction, and therefore you want heat sinks and a fan to have active cooling and draw heat from the LED. The LED got a junction temperature, a maximum temperature which it should be operating at, which you will find in the specifications sheet. And if it's hotter than that, the LED will burn out. Therefore, in the driver, it will if the LED gets too hot, it will lower the voltage into the bulb, making the bulb less bright. But of course that makes the bulb less bright, so it's better to have good cooling to have a bright bulb. So somebody would advertise, oh, this is a 3000 lumen bulb, but 3000 lumen bulb that works with 3000 lumens in 30 seconds isn't any good. So we will see how this bulb here will be after an hour running. We will see how the brightness have been affected, if the cooling on this bulb is enough, or if we will see a big downgrade in brightness. So I will just let it run for, so it have now been 30 minutes and it have been running stable for the last 20 minutes, I would say. We see here 13.8 volts, and it would go down to 1.42 amps. We can check that first. 13.8 times 1.42. That's 19.596 amps. No, I mean watts. So 19.596 amps. Now what? And you can see at the same, it's showing here 16.8 K lux. So 20 watts, which the bulb is rated at, divided by the voltage we are running the bulb at, says 1.45 amps. So this is how the bulb is starting out, and then we see a very slight heat soak, and it goes down to what was it, 1.42 amps, which gives 19.596 watts. So they have really made the bulb dimensioned for the wattage it is running. It's not like you have a 2000 lumen bulb and after 1 minute it goes down to 1000 lumens. So it's very stable running at the brightness it's made for. We can maybe see, if we start it again, see the real brightness. It should be at 1.45, and we will see what's the difference is. 1.4, so it should run at around 18. Means 16.8 going from 18 to 16.8 is 6.7% less bright. So yeah, I would say that is acceptable. Some heat loss when it comes to brightness, but tested other bulbs and they shave off half of the brightness of the bulb. So 6.7 is not really that noticeable, and so I would say that is within spec. I have tested it in this H7 low beam reflector. This is a free-form halogen reflector which gathers the light internally in the reflector, and you have a clear lens on the front. kinds of system, it's important that the design of the bulb is right, so we don't have too much light scatter, because the light would be output in the wrong places. And I have also tested it in this Hella halogen lens. This is also a H7 lens. They tend to pick up and distribute the light more evenly, even if you have a bad design bulb. But also, since it's so evenly distributes the light compared to a reflector, the upgrade of mounting LEDs are often not as big, even though you will have a nicer, whiter light. Just wanted to add, this is a opal or voxel Valeo made reflector. This is a Hella Gen2 something halogen reflector from Hella light system. And this is taken from a Saab car, but you will find this exactly the same lens in a lot of other cars as well. So this here is the result from the test in the Reflector H7 low beam, the Valeo headlamp, fitted in a opal or voxel. And we can see the H7, the green line, is the Philips Essential bulb. The blue one at the bottom there, that is ECA H7 bulb. It's a very cheap one, but it is got the right certifications to, so it's like the bottom line of the ECE standard. It's like a cheap bulb. Then we have the best of the best bulbs that I've tested out of the like the Extreme Vision, the Nightbreaker laser, but the brightest halogen bulb I have tested up to now is the GE Megalight Ultra 150%. That we can see is considerably brighter than the standard bulb. But over that we see that the H7 LED bulb Essential from Philips is brighter overall over the whole beam pattern. The sides are brighter, the hot spots are brighter, and yeah. And over that we have the G10F LED bulb. That is the brightest LED bulbs I have tested. We can see on the sides it's fairly similar, but when it comes to hot spot, that one is brighter. But also lumen in that bulb is higher as well. So, and it also got a nice beam pattern, so it performs better than the Essential light bulb. So this here, it's a H7 low beam bulb or reflector that I tested them in. So I think the regulations are set that the length of the light you have on the road shouldn't be more than 50 meters. So if you have a brighter bulb, you will of course have a brighter light within this 50 meters. But let's say that we took the hotspot and directed it straight forward, and we take the measurements into meters, like you often do like extra lights on your car or the high beam. You want a longer light, and it's also a good way to measure overall like the brightness of how far the light can shine down on the road. And we can see that the GE Megalight Ultra in the hotspot, I have tested this, will shine the light 158 meters down the road. The H7 Essential will throw it 197 meters, and then the G10F, the brightest bulb tested LED bulb I have in that I've tested, is 221 meters. So there is some difference between the bulbs. So yeah. So here we have the lux measurements from the H7 Hella lens, and we can see a very different result here. The colors on the bulbs have changed, and we can see the standard bulb is at the bottom for the most part, but in in one point it's a little bit brighter than the other bulbs. But then we actually see the GE Mega Ultra is weaker than the Philips LED Essential on the sides, but when it comes to more of the hotspots, it is the same brightness or a little bit brighter, but it compares very similar, I would say, to the LED bulbs, but LED bulb from Philips, but a little bit brighter hotspots. And then we can see the other orange line, which is the brightest LED bulb I have tested, the X7 in lens headlamps. You can see it just is much brighter overall on all of the lines, and that is mostly because it's a good construction and good design. But the H7 Essential, I would say, is the same, but the X7 just have a much higher lumen, so that is the reason why it's just much brighter than the other bulbs. And it also have the right construction to get the hotspot bright as well. And these are the pictures that I've taken of the walls with the black measurement points. The first bulb is the cheap easy standard H7 halogen bulb. Then we have the GE Megalight Ultra. Then we have the H7 Essential LED, and then we had the X7 bulb, which was the brightness. Fairly good buy. It's
And
not too expensive, and it works as expected. It's easy to install, fairly small, the price is right. You need some adapters in some headlamps, like with this one. You need a different holder, and you would need CAN bus resistors with a lot of cars as well. And when it comes to brightness, or we can take the beam pattern first. The beam pattern is good in a H7 reflector, and it's good in a H7 lens, in my opinion. Didn't see a lot of light scatter. It's a little bit brighter than the halogen bulb, so you get a little bit more scatter as well, but it's like differs with the overall brightness. It's certainly a little bit brighter than a bulb in a reflector, but when it comes to a lens, it's not that high of an upgrade, but it gives somewhat the same light in the lens. But in the reflector, it's a, I would say a fairly good upgrade. Not like a huge upgrade, but you will probably see the difference. Only thing is that you will have to remember, since it's a higher Kelvin bulb, you will see a little bit worse, I would say, on dark wet roads, but all the other conditions you will see better. But keep in mind, it's not really road legal, and I think they will never be, or we will see any products coming that will be legal, because OEMs are getting into LEDs from the factory, and I don't see how they could, or why anybody would put effort into changing the regulations to make a LED bulb that would, they would have to basically change the whole regulation system to be able to make these bulbs legal. And at this point, I don't think anybody will, I don't think that's possible at all, yeah.